Value resorts are Disney's answer to providing great on-site accommodation on a budget. For those that want to spend more time in the parks and less time in their room, a value resort might just be the perfect fit. You might still be wondering though if a Disney value resort is right for you and your family, and if so, which one should you choose? Well, today I'm going to be looking at each of the Disney value resorts, so hopefully by the end of this video, you will have all the tools you need to make the right decision. My name is Jen, and thank you so much for joining me today. This is actually going to be part one of a three-part series all about the Walt Disney World resorts. Disney resorts are split up into three different categories: value, moderate, and deluxe. And for today, actually, I'm just going to be covering the value resorts, and then in part two, it's going to be moderate, and then in part three will be deluxe resorts. If you don't want to miss any of those, make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you're notified when the video comes out. So without further ado, let's get started. If you're a first timer and have never been to Walt Disney World, you're probably asking yourself, what is a value resort? There are actually 5 value resorts, that being Pop Century, All-Star Music, Movies and Sports, and Art of Animation. These are considered the least expensive on-site Disney hotels, and they are located furthest away from the parks. The transportation here, you are only usually going to find buses, and some will have Skyliners, so you're not going to be able to get on any monorails or boats to get to and from these resorts. The theming here is usually big and bold, and it's great for kids and kids at heart. The rooms here are actually going to be probably some of the smallest you'll find on property at around 260 square feet, and some of the resorts like Art of Animation and All-Star Music have family suites, which I will get to later on in this video. There is actually no interior hallways here, so the door to your room is going to open up to the elements, with the exception of some rooms at Art of Animation. Also, amenities here will be pretty similar across the board. You'll find just one main quick service dining location, which is going to be typically a food court with some grab and go items. And then of course, you're going to find one main pool and up to 2 other quiet pools. Also, Disney has brought back free parking across the board at all Disney resorts, so that's another nice perk. Today I'm going to be looking at the 7 most important factors that I consider when I'm choosing a resort to stay at. That being room quality, transportation, cost, location, amenities, restaurants, and theming. Starting with Pop Century. Pop Century is actually one that I stayed at most recently on my last trip in December of 2022. Pop Century is almost like a clone to the All-Star resorts, which I will get to in a bit, but what I mean by that is they are similar 4-story motel-style buildings. Here you'll find theming consisting of fads from the 1990s all the way back to the 1950s. If you were born in these years, you may relate to these themes a little bit more than your small children will. Each building is dedicated to a specific decade, and at each one you will find over-the-top giant statues and decorations to the likes of like Roger Rabbit, Rubik's Cubes, Pac-Man, large laptops. In the rooms here, you're going to find typically just 2 beds or 1 king. In the rooms that have 2 beds, now all these rooms actually have a hideaway bed or a Murphy bed. So when you go into the room at first, you're only going to see 1 bed, but you can pull down this Murphy bed. And it's great to have the option to have this hideaway bed, which gives you more room during the day. Each of the rooms can hold up to 4 people. They have a big TV, a small fridge, a coffee maker, all sort of the standard amenities that you would need, and like really decent bathrooms. When I recently stayed here, I felt like the bathrooms had really been stepped up a notch since the renovation. You'll also find 4 room types here. Each room type is also categorized based on where you're located on the resort and also your view. So for example, a non-preferred room, you are going to be much further away from the main building versus anyone that has paid for a preferred room, which gets you closer to amenities like the pools and the main building. Paying the extra cost for these preferred rooms is really based on your personal preference and how often you're going to be using like the pools or the amenities. For me, I don't necessarily find that the preferred rooms are worth the cost unless I'm going to be spending more time at the resort and relying on those amenities. The food court here is going to be the only place that you can get some food. It is quick service with a grab and go sort of thing. You'll find things like burgers, pizza, pasta, salad. You can probably expect longer lines here at peak times because it is the only place that you can get some food. It can be very loud, especially again at peak times because the whole area is very open concept and it's actually located right beside inside the store area as well. Transportation you'll find here are buses and the Skyliner. The Skyliner, I think in my opinion, is a huge perk now because this will take you directly to Epcot or Hollywood Studios, but keep in mind the Skyliner is actually shared with the neighboring resort Art of Animation. There's 3 pools here with fun theming. You get the Hippy Dippy pool, which is the larger main pool, and then you have the other 2 smaller quiet pools, which are bowling themed, and then the computer laptop themed as well, which is really neat. And then there's also a pool bar as well. Let's look at the pros and cons of Pop Century. Pros is that it is affordable, you get fun theming, you have dedicated buses so you're not sharing with other resorts, you have the Skyliner as well, and you can also walk over to Art of Animation if you are kind of getting sick of the food court at Pop Century and try out the food court at Art of Animation. Cons for staying at Pop Century: you are further away from Magic Kingdom, so if you are wanting to go to that park often during your stay, you're gonna have to factor in a lot more travel time. The other thing too is that it can be a little bit noisy and busier because it's such a great place for families and kids alike. Also, I found the rooms here had poor soundproofing. You literally can hear toilets flushing, people talking outside, people talking in the next room beside you, so keep that in mind. There's limited dining options and the resort itself is spread out, so there's going to be a little bit of walking involved, especially if you're located in buildings that are further outside from the main building or the Skyliner. And lastly, it is kind of a similar look and feel to the All-Star resorts, but at a slightly more expensive price. Overall, Pop Century is a great choice if you're looking to save money but still want to be immersed in the Disney magic. Art of Animation is the sister property and almost the mirror image of Pop Century. It's the newest of the Value Resorts, which opened in 2012. It was actually originally built and designed to be buildings set to the 1900s to the 1940s as part of Pop Century. But of course, due to the recession and other factors, that whole concept got thrown away and they decided to make a whole brand new resort, which became Art of Animation. The theme here honors animation and movies that Disney has made over the years, predominantly Cars, Finding Nemo, Lion King, and The Little Mermaid. There's lots of bright colors here, fun characters that are life-size and bigger. Here you're going to find 2 different room types. Predominantly, it's going to be family suites, and then they have a smaller amount of standard rooms. Standard rooms, again, are very similar and almost carbon copies of the ones that you'll be finding at Pop Century. However, all the standard rooms here are themed to The Little Mermaid. And then the family suites are going to be themed to The Lion King, Cars, and Finding Nemo. There's even a small handful of pet-friendly rooms. Family suites are a great choice for larger families, so those that basically are a family of 5 or more. You're going to find 2 full bathrooms here with tubs and showers. You have a little kitchenette. They are on the smaller side, these kitchen areas, but I mean, it is appreciated that you do have them, especially if you are planning on making meals in your room. You get 2 TVs as well, and there's tile flooring, so if you do have any small spills, it's very easy to clean up. Also, the Murphy beds here are a big favorite with the kids. Again, they fold down at night, and then they'll fold back up during the day to allow for more space. There's also a pull-out couches here, although I have heard that the pull-out couches aren't as comfortable. The food court here is probably one of the best out of all the Value Resorts. It is called the Landscape of Flavors, and they offer a wide variety of foods, not just your typical like hamburgers and chicken fingers. You'll have other choices here and a lot of vegetarian and vegan options as well. I've only heard really good things about this place. Transportation here is exactly the same as Pop Century. You have buses and the Skyliner. A good tip here is that if you ever are waiting for a bus at one of the parks and you don't see an Art of Animation bus, but you do see a Pop Century one, just hop on the Pop Century one because you'll be taken back to Pop Century and then you can just walk back to Art of Animation. The pools here are probably also one of the best out of the Value Resorts, so if you're a big pool people, this would be a great choice. The Big Blue Pool is actually the biggest pool on property, so if you are looking for an amazing pool experience and want one of the best, or probably the best pool at the Walt Disney World Resort, definitely check this one out. It is a 0 entry pool and it also has a sandy bottom. You want to be mindful of that though, because if you do fall down or you have little ones that fall down, they may end up scraping their knee, so keep that in mind. The other small pools here are a lot less busy because usually the main pool is the big draw, but you will find good options at the smaller pools as well. Pros here, you are going to find exceptional theming and one of the best pools at any Value Resort. You are going to also find mostly family suites, so a lot more availability, dedicated buses, the Skyliner as well, bigger and better food court, and of course there are some rooms that are dog friendly as well. Cons: it is one of the most expensive Value Resorts. It is rarely discounted because of its popularity, and you are probably going to see it to be very noisy just with a lot of the kids around, and the soundproofing here is also not that great. Art of Animation is a top choice for any family that doesn't fall into that family of 4 scenario. Again, it would be better for families with younger children. If you have teenagers in that, they may not appreciate or find the theming that great. There are plenty of family suites here, so everyone can stay together. As a whole though, Art of Animation is a really cool resort. It just may not fit everybody's personal preferences or party size. There are 3 all-star resorts: music, movies, and sports, each of course with their own dedicated theming. Each of them are split up, so they do each have their own lobby, food court, pools, that sort of thing. The most Disney themed resort out of all of these would be movies, and the least is probably going to be sports. Room types here again are pretty much the same as you'll find at Pop Century. You have the standard rooms and preferred rooms again, each with their own different views. Also at music, you will find a handful of family suites as well, which again can sleep up to 6 people, and the standard rooms here are only going to sleep up to 4. The family suites at All Star Music have also received a huge upgrade. They are leaps and bounds different than what they used to be, and they are also slightly cheaper than Art of Animation. Something else to keep in mind as well is that only movies and music have been fully refurbished. All Star Sports is still undergoing refurbishment as of recording this video, so you may not necessarily get a refurbished room if you stay at sports. If you're not booking a preferred room out at these resorts, it may mean you are located further away from things. However, since all 3 resorts are located so close to each other, your non-preferred room might actually be located closer to the neighboring resort lobby or bus stops. For example, if I was going to be staying in the Mighty Duck section at All Star Movies, I am actually closer to the bus stop at All Star Music and potentially even the food court at All Star Music as well. So you could get a almost preferred location without paying that preferred price. At each resort, you're going to find the same sort of setup, at least 2 pools here, each with their own theming. They can get relatively busy though because they are slightly on the smaller side. Also, the food offerings at each resort is only going to be, again, 1 food court. So again, you're going to see a lot busier crowds, during peak times and that sort of thing. And there's going to be basic meal offerings. You get your standard burgers, pizza, fries, quick grab and go sort of thing. So not a lot of options for food. And transportation here at All Star Resorts is all going to be buses only. That being said, you're going to see a lot more crowds, a lot more busy buses because people are relying on them more if you haven't rented a car. You should expect to stand a lot of the time if you are traveling at peak times. And also, another thing is the order of which that you are going to be picked up. All Star Movies could potentially be the last to be picked up and the last to be dropped off just because of the way the buses will visit each resort. Now, however, during peak times, sometimes they may have dedicated All Star Movies, music, and sports buses, but that might not always be the case. So keep that in mind if you are going to be relying and taking the buses a lot. Pros and cons of All Star Resorts. Pros, again, it is super affordable. It is one of the cheapest rates that you will see for any Disney resort. You also have the family suites at All Star Music, and it's a great value for families with young kids, and you're getting that Disney level of service. Cons here is that a lot of the time, these resorts are going to be used and booked for larger groups. Like the cheerleader groups, the sporting groups, the church groups, especially All Star Sports, because of the close proximity to the Wide World of Sports venue as well. All around this property as well, it's going to be noisy just because, again, you have the smaller kids and the larger groups coming in here. You have the shared buses between all 3 resorts and long travel times to and from the parks. All Star Resorts is a great option for guests that are on a budget but want to stay in the Disney bubble. Pricing here is comparable, if not sometimes cheaper, than off-site hotels. If you're looking to save money and are okay with smaller rooms and a little bit of noise, the All Star Resorts may be the perfect fit for your next Disney vacation. To sum things up, I would say the Disney Valley Resorts is a great choice if you're on a budget and really want to stay in the Disney bubble. For me, staying at a Disney resort is very important to me, especially if I'm going to be traveling alone or even just with one other person. I just feel so much safer when I am at a Disney property. I know the security is really great, and I know I'm going to be getting that Disney level of service. Now, I know some value resorts are better than others. If you were to ask me what I think the best value resort is, I'd probably say Pop Century. And the reason for that is because of the price that you usually can get it for, the fact that it has the Skyliner now, so you have a different way of getting to Disney's Hollywood Studios and Epcot. The buses are still very good. You have the dedicated buses as well. And also, you feel safe, the rooms are clean, you get the Disney service. The theming is, it's not over the top Disney, but it's also, enough to make it feel like it's something special. So yes, Pop Century is probably the favorite, and I'd be willing to pay that little bit more than it costs than compared to like the All-Stars. If you were to ask me what the worst value resort is, well, right now, I would have to say it's All-Star Sports, and that is because the rooms are still being refurbished. They're not all done yet. A lot of the time you're going to see the groups in here, the loud sporting groups as well, so it's not going to be a quiet, relaxing atmosphere, and it's just going to be noisy. And also, like, I'm not a big sports person either, so the theming just doesn't really do it for me. But again, if I was hard up and I really needed somewhere to stay and I wanted to stay on Disney property, I'd still stay there. I mean, it'd still be fine, and I still know I would be safe, I'd have a clean room, and I'd have that Disney service. That about wraps up everything all about Disney Value Resorts. I hope that some of the tips and information that I gave you here will help you choose where you'll stay for your next Walt Disney World trip. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and found it useful, and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite value resort is. Again, part 2 of all about the best and worst moderate resorts will be coming out soon, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.